Conceive, believe, achieve.
This is former UFC middleweight champion of the world, Michael Bisping.
Paddy the Baddy here. You're listening to Combat Sports UK.
And you're watching Combat Sports UK.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Combat Sports UK YouTube channel. I'm Darren Miller and it's a pleasure to be joined this evening by the ever-entertaining downtown TJ Brown. TJ, how are we, mate?
Man, I'm doing great, brother. Taking a bit of a break from training today, man. Thank you for having me on.
No worries, mate. It's a pleasure to have you on. And I saw on your socials a few days ago, you got a new downtown back piece going on your back. How long did that actually take to do? Because I love it, but it's really like detailed and intricate.
Thank you very much, man. Brother, it was a grueling process, man. I think I did 3 sessions all together, all of them going for about 6 to 7 hours. Like, dude, like I love the way it looks. You know, I think it looks great. It's going to look good on TV on October the 14th. But man, you talking about some pain, brother. Like, I mean, it was tough, man. Like the last hour or two, man, just gets tough, man. Like you almost like get nauseous. Like it's just like you're sick of being there. But you know, I kind of treated it a bit like a fight, man. I had to stick through, you know.
Yeah, was that the biggest tat you've got then?
It is, bro.
Yeah, definitely. So the main reason we're talking today is about 2 weeks ago, your next UFC opponent was announced, Darren Elkins. You know, how are preparations going for that fight so far?
Man, it's going great, dude. I just got back into Arkansas a couple weeks ago. I've been training at Westside MMA along with a bit of cross training down in Hot Springs. But man, it's going great. Actually, I spent a weekend in Florida where I taught a couple seminars and got some cross training there. But training's going good, man. Like I believe Darren Elkins is a game opponent. He's an OG in the game, bro. I think he's got the most featherweight fights in history, man. So, you know, he's not someone I'm overlooking in any way. But at the same time, I think he's a bit past his prime, man. So it's kind of my job to go out there and put him in retirement.
Yeah, and as you just mentioned there, he's very experienced, UFC since 2010, over 40 fights. But how do you see him as an opponent technically, maybe?
I think his striking is tricky. That's the best way to put that. He does a lot of fundamental things right. He tries to establish the jab. He's got a good overhand right. And he does a good job of mixing his takedowns and mixing his takedown entries back into his striking. So that can make things tricky. But you know, my job is to go out there and push the pace on him and make it my fight, and that's what I plan on doing.
Is there anything you can see, you specifically exploiting against him?
Brother, I hate to give away too much before the fight. You know,
I get that.
You know what I mean, brother? Like, I really think this is going to be a good opportunity for me to put together a highlight reel, brother. Like, no disrespect, and I just don't want to give away too much.
No, completely understand that, mate. It's you don't want to give away your game plan coming up into the fight, do you? You know, there's always a lot of talk about the UFC Apex as well. You know, whether it's like the best venue. Obviously, it's been introduced since COVID times. You've actually fought there 5 times already. So how do you find fighting at that venue?
I want to be as honest as I can do. I don't like fighting there, bro. Like one of the reasons I like to fight is I like the crowd. I like the lights. I feed off of that energy. And like at Apex, it's like, man, I've got a great memory there. You know, winning on the Contender Series, having my son there, that was one of the best moments of my life. But like, one of the reasons I fight is like that feeling, you know, that feeling of having people there yelling your name and just the energy from the crowd. And you just don't get that same vibe there, man, you know. But here's the thing, dude. I'm going to make the same amount of money whether I was fighting in T-Mobile or fighting at the Apex. So we're going to go in there and get a check.
Yeah, and as you just kind of mentioned there with Dana White's Contender Series, that is going on at the minute. I wondered, have you been watching it? Have you been watching it? And if so, does that bring back great memories from when you fought there before?
Man, speaking of, dude, I just watched this last Tuesday, and I think every fight on the card was great. Every fight was on the card. It was an amazing showing. You know, I was telling someone as I was watching, like the Contender Series is so great because those guys are hungry. Like you get some guys that have been in the UFC for a while, or maybe to other events that aren't as hungry. Like they don't have as much on the line. But when you tell a kid that their dream is to get in the UFC and they have this opportunity that night to make their dreams come true, man, you get some fights, man. And I enjoyed every one of those fights. And yes, of course, I was reminiscing like how great that night was for me. Having my son there, my son like was knuckle bumping Dana White, and then getting my contract. It was a dream come true. And honestly, it was a good reminder, man, because I got to tap in this next fight into that young, hungry cat that I was then. You know what I mean? Like there was no stopping me that night. And that's the same intensity I want to bring come the 14th.
Yeah, well, you talk about that hunger there in Dana White's Contender Series. I actually attribute that straight, to you in that fight. You got knocked down in the first, and that hunger is what brought you through. And I'm guessing you also agree that's what made you win that fight.
100%. Like I tell guys coming up all the time, like I'm not the fastest, the strongest, and I sure sound like the smartest fighter out there. But man, there's something special about being relentless. Like when you make a decision before that fight, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to give it my all, no matter what's thrown at me. Things work out. And that same thing can attribute to life. It's like, man, life is going to throw you some curveballs. Life's going to be tough, but if you have a willingness just to keep going, to keep fighting, man, things work out, and that's what happened that night.
Yeah, you talk about those curveballs that a sport like MMA throws at you. You are coming into this fight off the back of a loss to Bill Algeo. Is there anything you've learned or you can take from that fight and then bring into this one coming up against Darren Elkins?
Of course, man. I want to be as honest as I can, that last fight and the fight before, like, dude, I got two bonuses in a row.
Yeah.
Like, more money I've ever made in my life. But the reality is, dude, I wasn't living right. Like, I've been drinking and partying so much, bro. Like, even for that last one, I only trained for like 3 weeks, bro. Like, I'd known about it for 8, and I only trained for 3 weeks, which is most people were thinking, man, like, how could you? You're in the UFC. Why did you just? Man, life's tough, bro.
Yeah.
And I've been dealing with some mental health stuff, and I wasn't in a good place. And I think a lot of that and the lack of training, the lack of focus is what brought that loss. You know what I mean? So what can I do now? Well, one is like, man, I've been sober now for like almost 120 days. Yes, congrats to
That's
me.
amazing.
And
That's amazing. Well done, mate.
thank you, brother. And then I've just got to refocus. I've been doing a bit of work with my therapist, and my mental is better than it's ever been. My training's on point. I'm in good shape, man. And I really think I've, in a way, like reinvented myself, that I'm going to bring the best version of me yet come this fight.
Well, despite, coming up short in that last fight, you look like you really enjoy yourself all the way through it with a smile on your face. It was still a very close fight as well. Is that something you pride yourself on? The fact that you enjoy every fight as it comes and goes, despite the result?
Yes, and that is something that has come over time. Like, when I first started, I remember being so nervous in there, bro. Like, I could barely open up, and now, with this new perspective of, man, I have the opportunity to get to do what I love every day, and I go out there and I can perform, and looking at it from that lens, it's really allowed me to go out there and just open up, and have some fun, and really perform. And that's what I love doing. Like, I was just telling someone today, I was like, man, I don't like hurting people. Like, don't get, like, I just happen to be good at it. I get paid good money to do it, but I love performing, dude. I love getting out in front of those lights and performing. And man, when we get out there and we start mixing it up, man, I love it. And I try to appreciate every moment that I can out there. And dude, it's like, let's be real honest, man. I was winning that entire fight, like, and I was piecing him up, and if I can do that good living in the lifestyle I was, I can only imagine how good I'm going to be now.
Yeah, definitely. In the featherweight division, the one that you're in, how do you see that shaping up at the minute? And how do you see it, in comparison to other divisions?
Dude, I could be a bit biased, but I think the featherweight and potentially the lightweight division have always been a top tier weight class.
Yeah.
It's a person that stands out to me right now is Tapura. Like, He beat my boy Bryce, and like I can make up all these excuses. Like I don't think Bryce was the best version of him. I don't think he performed well, but dude, at the end of the day, Tapuri is the truth, bro.
Yep.
Like you have to put respect on that guy's name, and I really think he's going to be the guy to be champ next.
Right. Okay. Just on a quick side note. Sorry, you mentioned Bryce Mitchell there. He's fighting next weekend. Have you helped him prepare for that at all, or is that?
I have, bro. Like, I really think he's back to the old Bryce. Like,
Yeah.
dude, the last few weeks of sparring, he's looked better than ever. I actually fly out Sunday to Vegas to help with to end his camp and to just for fight week and stuff like that. So, but man, he's looking great, dude. I definitely see a finish over Dan Ige.
Yeah. Okay. I'm back to you now. You've been in the UFC for the best part of 4 years. How would you, looking back over your time within the promotion, how would you rank it? How would you say you felt about your time in it so far?
Oh man,
It's a tricky one, I know. I maybe ask you a bit of a tricky question
no,
there, but
no. I just for me, I want to try to be as transparent as possible. And
yeah,
brother, I'm disappointed, dude. Like I worked my entire life to get here, and I finally got there, and I've been shitting on my opportunity. I haven't been taking it as serious as I should have. Yes, I've given you guys entertaining fights. I feel like that's what's kept me under contract UFC. Like I always go out there. I'm a dog. Like I fight my ass off, but I haven't taken it as seriously as I should have, and that's what I'm doing now. So when I look back, I have some bit of regret on some of my decisions and my time management, which is what's really got me fired up right now to do my best this fight, to take this camp seriously, and perform like I should be performing the entire time.
that's great to hear. That's great to hear, mate. And on a more positive note, looking back over your career so far, what's been your favourite fight or your best fight, in your opinion, to take part in, whether that's in the UFC or before your time in it?
Sure. In the UFC, one of my favorite ones was probably the Kaya Kamaka fight. I love a good comeback story, brother. Like I
Yeah.
love a good comeback story. And before that fight, I'd lost. I think I lost two fights before I dude. And like I was at that point where like I was backed in a corner. I was like, man, you're either going to come out here fighting or it's time to stop. It's like so. And I take a lot of pride in me rising up to the occasion, going out there and performing, fighting my ass off. And I don't know if you remember watching the third round, but I had a big, comeback moment where I come up off the ground,
Yeah.
do some exchanges and then knocking him down. It's like, dude, that was just a moment that I'll never forget.
That's amazing to hear, mate. And is there one before you joined the UFC, or was that by far your favourite?
One before the UFC would have to be my LFA fight against Ken Beverly, where I
Yeah.
landed. 2019 was such a great year. I got like 5 wins in a row, 2 head kick knockouts, and on the LFA, I got that head kick knockout. And then
Yeah.
the next morning, I'm sitting there eating breakfast, and my buddy calls me. He's like, "Turn on Sports Center, bro. Turn on Sports Center." I turn it on, and I'm on the Sports Center top 10 for the head
Wow.
kick, and I was just like, "Dude, I'll never forget that shit."
Yeah. Do you think that's a life-changing moment or life-altering moment for you?
Without a doubt, brother. Without
Yeah.
a doubt, I would say that's probably what helped boost me into the UFC. That for getting
Yeah.
noticed after that.
And have you got any short or long-term future goals that you wouldn't mind telling us, or that you've got set in your sights?
Of course, man. First things first. I want to win this fight. That's probably what's most important right now. But man, I want to open a gym, dude. I want to open my own gym. I've been coaching for years, doing personal training, teaching classes, but I want my own gym. A place of my own. So, but I want to get this win, maybe get the third bonus in a row, and then we'll see from there. Maybe negotiate a new contract, or it may be time soon to go open that gym and start selling down. But that's on my mind now. 33 years old. I've been in this game for over a decade. Like I'd be lying to you if I wasn't thinking, about in the near next couple of years retiring and just opening a new gym.
Yeah. Well, finally, mate, I don't want to take too much of your time today.
Thank you.
How do you want to be remembered? And secondly, have you got any words for Darren Elkins before your fight in October?
Woo! Man.
I want the
So
clip.
I want to be remembered for someone that set a proper example. Like, so I want to be someone like you tell your kids, or you tell the kids coming up in your gym, like you want to be like that guy. Why? Because I worked hard. I never quit. I always tried to grow and become a better martial artist and a better man, and also someone that was a service to others. Someone that, after taking what MMA has gave to me, giving it back to the community, giving it back to up and comers. Someone that was, in the end, used his talents and his ability for good. And as far as Darren Elkins, bro, like, I've got all the respect for the OG. He's a dog, man, but I have to go in there and do my job, and I'm looking to put him out and put him into retirement.
Well, best of luck for your fight in October, mate. I'll definitely be tuning in. And yeah, again, thank you very much for coming on to the podcast today.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate your time.